Hey there, Web Design 1. Welcome to Module 12. Today we're going to talk a little bit about navigation on a website, what it's used for, and how we go about, more specifically, go about making this happen on your website. So, navigation is actually a reasonably simple concept that came out of need. It helps you move between the pages in a site. UX is the user experience. It makes the user experience better for people on your website. And one thing I put on here is, as we're talking about it, you'll notice in the code that there's no, we use a target of underscore blank. We actually don't do that in this one, but we'll talk more about that as we get into the code. So take a site like Facebook. Facebook is a good example here. How do you think that you would move around this website? We are used to going and clicking on our name to get back to the home screen. If we want to insert videos and stuff, this is a different sort of thing. But if we want to go to our groups, we click on the groups page. If we want to go to the events, we can click there. If we want to go to Messenger, we can click there. If we want to go to the groups we have here, we click there. You're used to being able to click on any one of these buttons to go to the different parts of your website. Think about for a second the alternative to that is that you would have to go into the browser and type things in all of the time. That would not be a doable situation. And how would people know what pages are in your website at all? So navigation is, I think, the most important component to a full website to making sure people can use it. And this is the Facebook. You can see that there's the two sections of navigation here. I have the red arrows. This is the first one, so you can move between different functions, I suppose. And they have this one on the left side as well, which is kind of a duplicate. This is actually a new Facebook interface as of probably today. It's the first time I've seen it. But you can move around on the left side as well. So this one actually has two navigations. It's a little complicated. But another one that's super complicated is Amazon. And think about all the different things that you need to do on Amazon. If you want to go, you want to check your orders. You can go and you can click a button. You can go to your orders. Go to Prime Video. You can click there and manage that. Your orders and returns are up there. Your Prime, your shopping cart. This one in Amazon as well has a couple of different sections of navigation. Up here on the top, and then over here on the left, there's more options. Think about how would you ever do that if you didn't have navigation on this website. So Fits is actually, I think, the most simple to look at, the most straightforward. Sites like Amazon and Facebook have teams, huge teams of developers working all over that stuff. We're never going to get there in this class. You may never get there in your lives. I may never get there. But something like this is a much more manageable thing. And you can see the navigation bar I've highlighted in red. These are the links that take you to the different portions of the website, and that's what navigation does. So let's go actually to the MyFits site, and you can see if you want to go, for example, if you want to go to the schools, and you want to go to Fitzgerald High School, you could click there. And that's what the purpose of the navigation is to move us around the site. So you could, if you click here, you could do that. So think about having this like, okay, now I want to go to the Chatterton Middle School. So you're like, okay, let's type it in. Is that right? Maybe. As it turns out, yeah, it is. Go me. But think about having to type it up there every time you want to go to a site. So like, oh, well, we want to go back. So you can go and you can go back and forth and whatever. That's not a functional thing. So as we move into our designing of actual websites, linking the pages together is a critical aspect. So for us, obviously a much more scaled back version. I don't want you to have to worry about huge, massive things. Our navigation bar is going to look like this. And navigation is, in the end, quite a bit simpler than it sounds like it could be as we get into our code now. So I have the completed code there. What we're going to start with is our new skeleton. So we're going to go ahead. You can create your module 12 folder. Go ahead and create a new file inside of that called Nav Intro. .html, and then you can put your new skeleton inside of that, and go ahead and you can change the title and the assignment name to Nav Intro. Assumingly you can change your name, everything, pause video, finish all that, you'll be great. So navigation, in the end, is simple. It's just a UL. All of those things on the MyFit site, well, there's different ways maybe you can do it. But generally speaking, navigation is just a list of links. So it is no different than anything that we've done before. And this is what you're going to start with here. You have nav item. You have your A. So this is a link inside of a list item. We've done that before. So like I said in the presentation, you don't want that target attribute. You don't want every time you go to a site, you don't want that target of underscore below. You don't want a new page popping up. That would be super annoying. Think about going on Amazon and having like 25 different windows open. That would make me crazy. Crazier than I already am. And I don't need that. So we're not going to do that. But what we're going to do is we'll start with 5 of these things in there. They're all going to look exactly the same. Just like this nav item. And just paste them in there so you have 5. Straightforward, right? And as it goes, that's all the HTML. We replaced our placeholder inside of our nav. We already have that section reserved on our page. And we just pop that list in there. So, with it that way, this is what your page is going to look like from that point. You have a list of links. It looks like just any other UL that you've developed. And obviously that is not the end product we're looking for. We're looking for that. And to achieve that, we definitely need a little bit of CSS, as with pretty much everything we do. So let's go ahead and start our CSS. We already have in our CSS a section where we've started our navigation. Just hit enter a couple of times right there. And the first thing you have to do, since we had a placeholder, I put this padding in the navigation. First thing we have to do is take that out, because we definitely don't want the padding there. However, the background color and the color we can keep there, although the color in this case is going to be kind of useless. But oh well. So the first thing we have to edit is inside of our navigation, we have a unordered list. And we have a whole bunch of different things in there that are preset. And we have to override our presets first. So we're going to set margin and padding both to 0 to take that off. What that'll do for you is, you see you have this list that's indented. It does all those things on its own. Now what it's going to do is it's going to be kind of more like that. At this point, we still have those bullet points, even though we can't see them. So we're going to take that list style type and make that none, and take those bullets off. Now, the other thing that we're going to do, and this is actually a newer version, I've done this navigation quite a number of different ways, and I will tell you that this is absolutely the easiest way. So, if we display those as flex, take a look at now what happens to our page. So, as opposed to having our standard navigation, boom, we have our items all lined up real nice. Flexbox is a beautiful thing. So we want in this, for the wrap, we actually do not want these to wrap to the next line. And we want them, in this case, this is extraneous, but for the sake of you all, we will put the direction as row for that. If we were to do something with a media query, which is changes based on the screen, we'd set that probably to column, but we're not going to do that today anyways. So this is it for nav for our UL. The next part is I put a border between, so the LIs inside of our nav. What I did is I put a border in between there, just to kind of define where each element is. So I put our border being 1 pixel, and we'll just say light gray for now. And we want it to be a solid line. So when I did this, and I'll show you this real quick too, I didn't really like the way that the light gray looked. So if you're using Carrot or something on the Chromebook, don't worry about this part because I don't think you can do this. What I did is for the light gray, if you hover over it, it shows you the color it is. So what I did is I just drug our transparency down to 0.5, and then you can use, if you're using Carrot, you can use this RGBA number instead. It's a much better color, I think, and I liked it better, so that's what I did. All right, so moving on. We have our borders in between there. The next thing we have to do is, if you notice, we set the color of white, but our built-in programming or for the browsers is overriding that. So we have these in our nav LIs that also are links. And that's the last thing that we have to edit. So first thing always with the link is you want to display it as a block. Otherwise, the CSS you write will be super weird and it won't work out. So we want to make that white. You can use different cooler colors than I am, but for the purpose of this, I didn't want to overdo it. And I think in today's day and age, for our links, we definitely don't want to have the underline in our navigation bar. So we took the text decoration off. And where we're at right now with this is we had this before. It's definitely not looking good. Now we're here, we have the white text, everything looks better, but it's definitely way too close together. I would not like seeing this on a page. It would make me super tense. So we have to add a little bit of padding to it. And for the top and the bottom, we're going to do 2VH, and the sides 4VH. So it'll be not crazy wide or crazy tall, but a little wider to spread things out. And if you add that in there, that's actually the second to last part of this. Then what you have is you have these spread out. So what you can do is if you want a little bit more space, you could maybe set this to like, we'll say 8. And what it'll do is it'll change the left and the right so they're more spread out. And if you want more space on the top and the bottom, we can set this, we'll say like 3. I can't physically go bigger than 3 because I will hate it too much. You can see that they get a little bit taller. But now, what the last thing here, so you can mess with those numbers a little bit. I just wanted to make sure you knew what they did. The one thing I like is that when you put your mouse over stuff, I like to have the color change. It's just one of my things. So the last section we're going to do is, if you remember from back in the day, we have A:hover for our nav LIAs. That will run whenever you put your mouse over one of these items. And what I just do is I just change the background color to be what the text color was. And you change the text color. I'll just put, I'll put red. That's fine. Like I said, use cooler colors. And then I also like to put the text decoration, the underline, back on so you can see. It's just one of those deals. So what we have as opposed to this where that doesn't work. Now when you hover, the item changes color. And I think that's a really nice basic looking navigation bar right there. So as you finish this, please make sure that you submit your code in Schoology. And if you have any questions, please do let me know. Good luck.